Welcome back to the lab. It's 2/3 of the way through November and we've only got 2 broken Nissans in the workshop. That's not enough. So, loading up the ute, we're heading up to Auckland. We're coming back with a 3rd broken Nissan. Seeing as Christmas is a dead zone and it's very difficult to get anything done, this sounds like an excellent idea. And that's not enough either. So there's actually a 4th broken Nissan out there that has kind of fallen upon my lap. That's my problem as well. It's another one of these, but we're not doing all this to that one. We just fixing it, because Z32s are always really simple to work on, and that's all we end up doing. Let's go for a drive to Auckland and pick up the 3rd one, and then we'll talk about the 4th one later on. Early afternoon, we're back. Got the car loaded into the garage here before it started raining. It's supposed to rain a lot. It's bitted a tiny little bit, so we're all good with that. We're off to a good start. This is what's funny about the connection with the skid factory. Very loose connection with the skid factory. We're not part of them. They're not part of us. They've been here for a visit once. We talk every now and then. They're putting what's in here is RB25DET. They're putting the cylinder head of one of those and RB30 bottom end, which is kind of similar to a 25 but not the same, into one of these. I don't know if they're doing the wide body kit. Probably not. It's one of the last builds that Alan's going to do on the skid factory. So with this, the motor was already in here. I'm kind of doing everything around the motor but not changing the motor, whereas they're putting one of those motors into there after they've built the motor. We're not putting that motor into there because it's got one. We're doing everything on the outside, but then we're building that motor and putting it back into there. So it's the same, but it's not the same. This is story. It's not a GTR, as you can see. It's a GTT, so that's why it's an RB25DET, not an RB26. Nice, eh? I'll fix that for him. Down here somewhere is... Oh, I found it straight away. Shush, be quiet. I'll fix that very soon. Around here. Very Japanesey, eh? Skyline, S for Skyline. Oh, can I find it? Oh, I found it. Oh my God, that weighs 10 tons. Hang on. Without Googling, knowing what Nissan tend to do, I'm picking that the GTR ones are aluminium bonnets and the not GTR ones are steel. Yeah, a lot of guff hanging off these things from the factory. We're not deleting any of it. It's all going to go back on. We're not doing a crazy mod. It's got a couple of little tiny things. And over there somewhere there's a boost controller. But it's actually running standard boost. It's almost standard. It's got coilovers, but at standard height. It's got a pod filter, as you saw, the intercooler, I suppose, an exhaust. I haven't even looked. So yeah, what we got to do is fix it. It came up of an age, and the owner decided time for some servicings, looking after him. So the front of it, pieces, timing belt kit and everything. I can't remember how many Ks are on it, 150 or something. So head off, head gasket, do all that stuff and things, put it all back together. And he decided to get a new clutch put in there at the same time. So they put a new clutch in it. That was all done. Beauty, pick it up, drive it home, failed on the way home. Push the clutch in and the oil pressure just goes, nothing. So towed back to garage. I don't know who it is at this point. There is an invoice in the car, but I don't know who it is and I don't care. Towed back to the garage and they assessed it and said, oh yeah, your thrust bearings are flogged and the crank's moving. Whatever the story is beyond that, I don't know. Got a phone call from the owner hey, can you come and fix this for me? Yep, cool. So we'll take care of it. Same deal as the other one of these that we dealt with, the blue one. This is the other blue one. This is actually, originally it was red, but this is blue, but it's got a grey primer anyway, confusing the matter. Same deal as that one. We can't really trust anything that's in there. We don't know what's going on, whether there's something wrong with the head now, or there might be an oil restrictor missing from the block, or anything like that. It could be, who knows? Someone else has been in there, they've worked on it, can't trust it. Not saying I don't trust their workmanship. I am actually. I'm saying I don't trust their workmanship, because I don't know who it is at this point in time, and we'll stay away from the whiteboard in case you see what I'm up to. We'll take it apart and start from scratch. Make sure it's built as best as I can possibly do to ensure there are no more problems for him. Rightio, I'll start making some plans on disassembling this. It doesn't go at the moment, so right at this point in time, it doesn't matter that it's not on the hoist. I can actually work on it just very easily, just here, and probably pretty much pull the engine out on the floor. Isn't that hard to do. And get it on stand and have a look. Yeah, so stuff's flying off everywhere. A bit of an exaggeration. Slowly taking it to pieces. Yeah, look at that. It's not good, eh? Bit of a hint something's not quite right. Apparently it's got about 2 millimeters of end float on the crank, back and forth. If I find the right spot, this will come off. Or not. We'll get a torch and we'll have a look. Look, it's got a new water pump in it and stuff like that, so that's all right. One bad thing, I'm not sure if I'll see it in the bottom here. Having to spit water out while I... bottom of the radiator was all full of sludge. That may be a little bit of it just there that you can see. Grey, oily sludge. So either that's from the job that they've just done. See it there? There's actually quite a large glob of it fell out. Either that's from a bit of contamination from the job that they've just done, or there's an issue with the head gasket. That's just the head job. Certainly an issue with the engine. Whose fault it is, I don't care. We just need to fix it. There's a few interesting things to be found on this. And a couple of bolts missing here and there and all that sort of thing. We got a bit of fuzziness from the light coming at the door open. Sunshine. Yep, took the head off it to have a look at a couple of things there. It's got a Tomy head gasket on it. It's brand new. And someone's put that CRC copper seal or whatever it's called on there. I've found that stuff actually doesn't work that well, but maybe these guys haven't had bad experience with it. I don't. They've only done it on one side, but I would not recommend it. Ditch would it had injury, so we need to get another one of those. Interesting, it's just been part, had a lot of work done on it, but anyway. So I'll carry on. The goal is I'll just pull the block out as it is at this point. I'll get some things out of the way. Yoink, nice and easy, get straight onto an engine stand, get it upside down and have a look at what's going on with our crank. The oil pump's probably stuffed from the crankshaft moving backwards and forwards. Apparently it's got about 2 millimeters of travel this way, that way. I've not looked at that yet. We'll get onto it. The week is disappearing. Now, normally you wouldn't do this job in the way that I've done it. You'd pull the whole engine out and then you take the cylinder head off. It's far easier to do that. There's a little bit, how do we say this? Not enough room in here to be doing that. So I've donated the extra time that it takes. I don't charge for that. And I've pulled the cylinder head off and all the peripheral stuff and things. So there's more or less just an engine block, long block, with a gearbox attached, getting ready to yank that all out. And
This job was done by quite a, shall we say, renowned shop. I did put my spanner on this before, so this isn't, I haven't touched this one though, so that'll be interesting. This isn't as genuine as it could be, but this is how tight it was. In fact, I think I potentially could have knocked that loose with my little finger. Oh, Glenn's gonna break himself. Can I do it? Oh, no, not quite. Not on that one anyway. But it certainly wasn't tight. One finger. Yeah, I just needed my little finger in the right direction. There's a few things that I've found along the way that were like that. But I guess, hey, whatever. No one's perfect. I'm not perfect. Seem to see a lot of this sort of thing in New Zealand, though. It's a bit of a shame. We could be doing better. If I said I was maximising the available space in the workshop, that would be an understatement. Oh no, it's all going to blow away. No, it should be right. There's like 100 mils clearance between the back of the skyline and the door, and same for the march, and pretty much nothing here. And we're going to tear this apart. Here, this is definitely not ideal, but for a tear down, it's not a big problem. Look, I've taken a sample of the oil that's come out of the engine because it's what we would call making metal. Now, you might have to stir it up a little bit so you can actually, there you go. See how it's very, very grey around the outside edge there? That's actually full of bearing material. Now, whether this thing was like that when they started the work and put the clutch in there, or whether this developed immediately after the clutch going in there, everyone else can argue about that. I'm not going to. My job's to fix it. And I don't think we're on a witch hunt at all. I think we just get it sorted out. So, yeah, I know. It doesn't look terribly professional, does it? But we'll tear this to pieces, and then from that point, then we have to get serious about tidying things up. It's probable this, maybe that as well. They go bye-byes in storage somewhere. One of them has to. Give us some space, and then this whole area has to be mega sorted out to put this back together, or I subcontract that to someone that I can trust and oversee and make sure it's done properly. And then we've got to put the engine back in the hole. Let's take it apart and check. I've been told there's like 2 millimeters of play in the crankshaft. I tried to give it a bit of a jiggle and find that, and didn't, but that doesn't mean to say it's not there, and we may see that when we get the sump off. That's a pretty serious amount of choppy going on in there. Chewing things to pieces. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. Yeah, that's not good. That's bad. That's really bad. Oh, is it going to focus? That's really bad. Well, as they say, if it wasn't swear word before, it is definitely swear word now. Stuffed. We could use stuffed instead of swear words, couldn't we? That's your thrust bearing there. It's in the middle of the crankshaft on these ones. And although it does have some wear on it, it's we're going to be upside down. Is that going to hurt things? It's not significant. And measuring that, we've got just doing it with the vernier calipers here, measure that and measure the difference to the thrust faces on the crankshaft, 0.08 of a millimeter. Certainly putting the screwdriver, I can't do it very easily, or something in here and trying to move that crankshaft backwards and forwards. There's not 2 millimeters of play as the customer told me he was told by the previous mechanics. I use that term loosely. However, as you can see, like there's a significant amount of material we're looking for. Something has definitely pooped the bed. What's her name? Johnny Depp's girlfriend. It's done Amber Heard. It's done an Amber Heard. That's not good. So I haven't checked all the rest of them. It's lunchtime. I'm going to go and have a lunch. I'm hungry. That seems okay. That seems okay. That kind of lines up where the oil is all yucky, the bits and pieces. So we've lost number 2 big end bearing, which, you know, the thing did 150,000 Ks with no problems, and then we take the head off and do that, and then it does that straight away. Good chance it's got something to do with it, contamination or whatever of the oil system while the head job's being done. Don't know why I clean my fingers, but certainly we've got some significant on the oil pump pickup. It's not going to help anything. I took the oil pump apart. I'm not going to zoom in because it'll get the phone dirty now that my yucky. That looks okay. It's not brand new. It's not happy. It looks like it may have been run a little bit dry at times. So that might be the chain of events. Head off, work back together, contamination, block off pickup, low oil pressure, number 2 bearing gone. Big end bearing. Yeah, it could be. Or it could be just fluked it and just happened to do it then. And then that bearing going has resulted in all the stuff and things. Should have a link on there to actually it's got an oil pressure gauge. But he should have had a link in there to protect it anyway and shut it down on him when the oil pressure was a bit funny. He saw it and he stopped anyway, so I'm just trying to sell a link ECU, that's all. Never mind, right, lunchtime, and then we'll pop these big end bearing caps off, and we'll probably have to trundle off down the road and get our crankshaft all polished and measured and all that sort of carry on. Let's see what sort of damage is done there. All right, no, it's not going back together. That's just for the purpose of taking up less space while we store it. Crankshaft is off at the engine reconditioners, getting inspected, measured, and they'll probably grind number 2 where these puppies came from and see if we can save it. It's possibly done for, in which case we need another crankshaft. It's the way it goes sometimes. Look, there's obviously clearly been some sort of oil supply problem, and in my opinion, which might not be worth anything to some people, I think it was directly related to the work that was carried out. How exactly? Pass. But it was going good beforehand and they drained the oil out of it. They should have seen if there were any problems at that point in time and said something, but they didn't. Got the job done, got it all back together with some dubious craftsmanship, tradesmanship, dubious workmanship, and it hasn't lasted the drive home and it's failed. So yeah, oil pump is toast. I'm not going to get my hands dirty and show you that, but there's way too much clearance between the gears and the oil pump, so that's flogged to death. That can happen if there's perhaps an oil supply issue to the pickup. The sump, which is now clean, was full of grey sludge of doom. You might be able to see a little bit of it there, grey sludge of doom. And you might think that's from the bearings. It could potentially be from the bearings, but there seemed to be far too much of it for that to be the case. And the grey sludge of doom was actually in the cooling system as well, which really raises some questions as to what the hell's happened. Not necessarily saying, hey, they did something stupid, but yeah, there's some, I've never seen that grey sludge of doom before. I've seen some pasty type stuff from bearings being flogged to death, but look, this is really the only one that's completely flogged. These are not happy, but you're certainly not going to get Now I'm going to say it's about 6 mils thick of grey sludge right across the entire bottom surface of the bowl. And I showed you earlier the pickup being just an absolute mess. You won't get that from that and that. And the rest of them, yes, that one's a bit marginal too, right? But and the main bearings certainly didn't look like they would have created a great deal of sludge, paste, gunk. Interesting, we went from, it was supposed to have been a thrust bearing issue I was expecting to find in there, until I started checking and there wasn't any play, and then I got it apart further and then, oh, hang on, now it's a big end bearing issue, and oh, now it's a probably dead crankshaft. Never mind. Can I say never mind? Not really. It sucks. It's sort of a swear word. I'd be pissed if I'd spent that money on a tradesman doing a job and it didn't last the drive home, and then they kind of shrugged their shoulders about it. Let's try and not have that happen. We'll get the bits and pieces and we'll fix it. All right. Cheers. Thanks for watching. Cheers, bye all the bloody members. Don't forget to sign up for a membership and you get to see the videos first. Thanks to those that have. Right. Cheers, bye.